Alright, let's select the image and then go back to the assets panel, H on the keyboard. And what I want to do now is I want to create a new interaction. I'm going to call this the float, so that this phone is going to float up and down. And I'm actually going to have this be triggered by the load. So when the page loads, then this animation will be started without clicking anywhere. It will be an automatic animation happening. And I'm gonna add a new animation right here. I'm gonna set it to move, so it's gonna move down by 20 pixels when that happens. And I'm gonna make it 1400 milliseconds. And then I want to add another interaction or another step, and that is going to be simply move back to origin. So if I click on the move and I just press enter, then it will create a move back to origin step without having to put in any values. So also it's at 1400 milliseconds ease. And what I need to do next is set it to loop, so that it will not only do it just once, but it will loop and continue floating forever. And I noticed that while I was looking at it right here, it seems like it's cutting off a bit. And let's take care of that. I know that is occurring in the mask for the slider. So I clicked on my slider and I find my mask down here in the breadcrumbs. And I need to add a new style or a new class to my mask. Just class it mask, and then I need to take away the overflow so that it will not cut off down here. Now let's go ahead and preview it. And there we have our interaction. Our phone is floating in space. How about that? That is adding some life to the page. So because we set it to page load, that means that as soon as a visitor lands on our page, this animation is already triggered, and it is a pretty easy animation to accomplish. In fact, I'm going to trick this page out a little more by adding also the same float effect to our second phone, and I'm going to add some additional animations to our arrows. So let's simply go into the next slide here, clicking the slide 2 and selecting this image. I want to go back and make it float as well. So now both of our phones are floating. And then I'm going to create a new interaction for my arrow right here. I'm going to call this a flip right. And then the trigger is going to be a hover trigger, so that when you hover over it, this icon will move to the right 60 pixels, so it disappears out of the frame. And let's make it 300 milliseconds. And let's call it done. And then I want to add a new step, and this is the key step where I need to make it hidden so that it is not visible. But for now I'm going to keep it unhidden so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to move this back negative 60 pixels so that it moves forward, and then it will jump back 60 pixels, and then it's going to move into visibility again. So this step going from the right to left is going to be invisible, and we need to make it 0 transition, so it does it instantly. Okay, let's check that out. And I need one more step that will be bringing it back to its origin, and let's make it a block so that it goes from the none to a block again. So let's put that to the test and see if we have our interaction right here. And there it is. How about that? It is so simple to make really cool and interesting animations with Webflow. And I'm simply going to copy this to make our left button act the same way. So going to the left button, I'm going to copy this or duplicate the interaction, and I'm going to rename this to a flip left. And all I need to do now is reverse these values right here, -60, and then I need to make this one +60. And that's how easy it was to do that. So there you have it, an animation to our phone. It is floating. Both of our phones are floating. Our Lightbox images are hovering and interactive, and our contact form has hover effects on them, and it is looking really interesting, really slick, and it is so awesome, in fact, that I want to add a couple of sharing buttons so that visitors can easily share this page right here. I'm going to make that the next step in the course. So sit tight and let's move forward.